Hello and welcome, rookie card collectors. Victor, the rookie card specialist, coming at you today with a little bit different type of video. Today, I am doing what they call a video podcast. Many times, I typically will record a YouTube video and I will extract the audio portion of that video, and then I will create a podcast episode. Sometimes I do a little bit of editing, but not very much. And then I end up posting it on my podcast. But today, I'm going to take precedent over the podcast, and the video portion is going to be secondary. With that said, not sure if everybody heard the news. I hear through the content creator grapevine that YouTube is going to be creating and releasing their own podcast platform in 2023. Excuse me, man, that was tough to get out. But yeah, they are going to be kind of like Apple and Spotify have a section for podcasters. YouTube is going to be doing the same, and content creators will be able to use the YouTube podcast as another avenue for their content creation. So that's kind of exciting. I went ahead today and I'm using a different background. A lot of people ask me about the cards that typically are sitting right behind me. The problem is that I used to create content on a table really close to the cards, but I started to use StreamYard and I needed to go closer to my computer. I needed to get to my computer, and I'm in a room that's pretty large. It's about 25 feet by 40 feet. So it's a pretty big room. So the cards display typically sits way in the background. Well, I ended up taking a picture of my card display, and I'm using a green screen, and I just put the picture of my showcases as a background. So hopefully I've been asked about it 2 or 3 times already, and I just figured just play around and knock the dust off the old green screen and put it back up for at least just for this episode. With that said, man, have I had a busy week. I don't know about you, but I don't know what's going on at work, but it has been one crazy work week. Seems like I work for a railroad, and just the amount of traffic coming through is just crazy nowadays. And I have been ultra busy at work, and actually really busy as far as content creation this week as well. I went ahead and did an interview with my March guest that's going to feature next Sunday. I speak with attorney Edward Healy, so I'm really excited about this next episode that I'll be releasing. So stay tuned for that. And on Tuesday, I was fortunate enough to be on Hobby Hotline, and on Wednesday, I did an episode with Cousins Collectibles over with Tony and Oz. Guys they're just they're really fun to hang around with. I really enjoyed myself with them, and got to know them through Hobby Hotline, and I've been able to do a couple of episodes, and they reached out and asked if I wanted to come on, and we recorded an episode this past Wednesday. So been pretty busy at work, pretty busy here creating content. And I just wanted to, with everything that's in your busyness and the short time that you do have, you're kind of like going through thoughts in your head. And so I decided to do this episode and just kind of like a hodgepodge episode, right? Kind of just like a catch-all of all of my thoughts that have been running through my head. And I basically things that I wanted to share, and I typically just write them down because a lot of times I'll have a good thought and I just forget about it. And so whether I type it up on my phone or a scrap piece of paper or write it down over here at my desk, I just collected all of these all of these thoughts and ideas that I had and decided, hey, you know what? I'm just going to create a podcast and just do like just a catch-all of my hobby thoughts and ideas. Um, if anything, it's therapeutic for me. um, Speaking of content, I wanted to talk a little bit about basketball content. My last video that I released last week was a video pertaining to the 2011-2012 NBA lockout. And I ran through the history of that, what happened with the lockout, and the challenges that card manufacturers faced. And Panini ended up doing like a dual rookie year class for 2012, 2013, and kind of clearing all the confusion about the redemptions and all of that. And I noticed that video got very little views. And I started to look at my content analysis, right? And I started to look at the basketball episodes. They do really, really poor for some reason. Not a lot of interest, I guess, in basketball rookie cards or the topic, perhaps. But I ran through all of my content, and I get about 50% less views when I do anything about basketball, oddly enough. But just something that I just found curious is all. Just got back hours ago, a couple hours ago. I just got back from the Chicago Spectacular. I am recording this on a Saturday, March 18th. And I can tell you, I was excited to go because I was wanting to see the vibe of the hobby, the health of the hobby per se, which was the theme topic for Hobby Hotline on Tuesday with Mike Moynihan and Tony from Cousins Collectibles. And we spoke on this topic, and I was anticipating the Chicago Spectacular. And I can tell you that the Chicago Spectacular was spectacular. Friends, the hobby is doing well. The health of the hobby is doing extremely well. I showed up. I made it there about 10 in the morning. It's a large group of people. It took me a while to find a parking spot in the garage. But as I'm walking through the Skyway, there's just a large flow of people. And I'm thinking to myself, this can't be, this is like more people than the National. This can't be right. Well, needless to say, I ended up finding out once I got to the foyer that there was two events going on. They also had a tattoo artist convention going on the main level where typically the National sits at. So that made sense. I said, okay, there's a couple of events that make sense. But then I go over to, I find the Chicago Spectacular in another portion of the building. And I walked through, 10 o'clock in the morning, and there was a good amount of people there. Nothing, I can't say it was dead because it definitely was not. There was quite a bit of people there. So I did my shopping, and I picked up some pretty good stuff. Mainly it was a lot of stuff that for my eBay store. I also picked up some pretty nice rookie cards. Nice rookie cards to me, right? Because I don't get into all the shine and glitter and rainbow ponies. I'm more of a base rookie card collector in PSA, typically in grade 9 or 10. But I ended up picking up some pretty nice cards. I think I got a Russell Westbrook Topps rookie card, a Tim Duncan finest rookie card that I needed for my set registry. And the third one was a Yao Ming Topps paper rookie card in a PSA 9 as well. And that was it as far as slabs were concerned. The rest of it was just bulk purchases from one table to another. And I ended up leaving, I would say 1 o'clock. I ended up leaving. And can I tell you, by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, friends, I was walking, I was in the back of the building and I was walking towards the door so I can leave. And I can tell you that I had a hard time walking to the door. There was that many people there. A lot of people, if with the autograph signings, I tell you that show has a special niche within the hobby as far as getting great names, many great names to that event. And the amount of people that were in the autograph pavilion was impressive. And the show tables didn't lag behind either. I mean, tables were packed. Dealers were in a good mood this afternoon, I can tell you. And so it's encouraging. It's encouraging to see. It's encouraging that, it seems like a lot of people are having fun with the hobby, and that's just so cool to see. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about John Morant. Now, I don't follow John Morant all that much. I've only seen one or two games with him. He's athletic. Not real impressed with his game, only because the couple games that I have seen, he maybe made 50% of his shots. So overall, I haven't been impressed, but I get why people would be. He's very young. He's very athletic, and he has a lot of personality. And needless to say, I'm sure everybody has heard the news by now of his shortcomings. I don't take any exception to that, because, we're all human and we all fall short. I know I fall short. I know I have fallen from grace where I have made some pretty drastic mistakes. And I'm glad that the people around me extended me some grace. Nobody's perfect. But I will say this when it comes to John Morant, and I'm talking about now the hobby stuff. Okay. But I've been around long enough to know and see this thing happen more than one occasion. And that is the fall of an athlete after they've reached the mountaintop. And there has to be an enormous amount of athleticism to play at this level, right? But there also has to be a very high level of discipline, not only physically, but morally. And here's where I think John Morant's mistake was at, right? Just perhaps influence, perhaps, the people he hangs around with, whatever the case may be. But the problem is that to whom much is given, much is expected. And the kid's been given a lot. Deservingly so. I'm not taking nothing away from him on that. A lot of people give players a bad rep because of the amount of money that they make. Listen, most of these guys, myself included, we're not smart enough to make and negotiate a contract that size. It's not the players giving this money out. It's the team owners and their team and the players' agents negotiating this type of money. And so what's the player going to say? Oh, no, that's too much money. You don't need to pay me that much. No. Would you do that if you go to work and they offer you this ginormous amount of money? But to whom much is given, much is expected. I used to take issue with Charles Barkley, who would say, I'm not a role model. You kind of are by default, whether you like it or not, believe it or not, or accept it or not. People look up to you, and you should carry yourself a certain way. You should, at the very least, be professional. And that's one of the things I always loved about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was an SOB, right? He's got a lot of people that would say that about him. He was a hard-nosed, in your face on the court. But after the game, during the post-game show, and I watched just about every single one growing up in the Chicagoland region in the 90s. We watched every single game for close to a decade. And I can tell you, watching the sports and on the news and all of that, I can tell you that the guy knew how to handle the media. He came out typically in a very nice suit, very well spoken, very well mannered, and the guy was a pro on and off the court. Now, behind closed doors, I think that's none of our business. Mind your own business. But in a day of social media, in a day of instant news, I think you have to be even more on guard. If you're these players, you need to be even extra careful with what you do or say in public, because there isn't a camera, there is a multitude of cameras. And what you say can be taken out of context. What you do can be taken out of context. And I do know life has shown me enough to where, it takes a lifetime to build a good reputation. It takes a lifetime to build integrity. But it can take you an instant to lose it. And that's true today more than ever because of the cameras and social media platforms that are out there. You have to be careful. You have to play it smart. And so Ja Morant's cards, apparently, and I haven't checked myself. I typically, for this kind of stuff, I usually depend on channels like Neo Cards and Comics. He does a great job at market analysis. I listen to guys like Omar over at Retro Hoops Collectibles. He also keeps track of basketball hobby market. But according to these gentlemen, from what I'm hearing, is the Ja Morant market has not suffered a single bit yet. But we'll see what kind of discipline is assessed. If he's going to be out of, suspended for a number of games, depending on what the discipline is going to be, who knows? Who knows what the market will do for Ja? I just hope, he learns a lesson. And I think he's young enough that he deserves at least that. And from what I'm hearing, he has taken and has said the right things, whether it be all staged or fixed or, a rehearsed statement, that's all fine and dandy. That's still, we'll have to see how things play out. And I think the hobby and the basketball world needs to extend this young man some grace because he is young. And man, did I do a lot of stupid things when I was young. There's a lot of things that I regret. And there's a couple of things that I'm ashamed of even. And so I just hope that the kid can regain his focus and come out of this on the right side of the fence. And time will tell. But this is kind of the reason, guys. I'll be honest with you. This is some of the reasons why I struggle with collecting young players. I mean, there's just so much pressure put on these guys. There's just, it's the moral fiber. It's the mental game. It's are you tough enough to handle what's coming at you, or are you going to buckle and fall apart? Many of them do. Many of them can't handle the pressure, can't handle the day-to-day physical grind that it takes to play in professional sports. And prospecting and especially in baseball, that sort of thing, there's just so much competition. There's so much that can go wrong, especially in the game of baseball. You can be killing it in the A-ball league, man, and you get into that pro pitching and you start facing these, giants of the game, and they just, you'll hit a slump and you'll never come out of it, and you see it so many times where, the young guy is killing it. He comes up to the pros. He can't, and eventually they just send you back down. I mean, what else are they going to do? I mean, if you're not producing, holding or pulling your weight, they got to let you go, man. I don't care what you did in AAA. This is the big leagues now. And so there's just so much that is against these guys. And that's how come my hobby dollars, the few that I have, right? I find it really difficult to spend on prospecting. Also, the big news on Fanatics, and that's been running through my thoughts this past week or so. I've been, apparently Michael Rubin shows up to the Philly show, and he's got the big dogs from the Philadelphia 76ers with him, right? He comes in with an entourage of players, and he comes in making announcements that next month there's going to be big news, big news, generational type moves that are going to be made this coming month. And that was in February, I believe it was. We're now in March, so I'm expecting some big news to hit sometime soon here. But there's a lot of speculation. What could that be? To me, the thing that makes the most sense is that they would make a move for Upper Deck, and I think that's going to be an option for them, only because of I would love to know. I don't know. I should have researched this, and I meant to, and I forgot to do it when I hit record. I didn't do it. I would love to know the contracts of LeBron James, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, all these guys. Are they set to expire anytime soon, or are those lifetime contracts? I don't know. But there's just been some activity, like, LeBron James has been with Upper Deck for a long time. And he's also been coaching and bringing up his son, right? And kind of leading his son, as he should, as any good dad would do. He's opening doors and showing his son the path to take. But Bronny James ended up signing with Topps here recently. And I found that to be interesting. Now, word is that LeBron isn't going to be retiring anytime soon. He wants to play at least 2 more years because he wants to go wherever his son ends up. And he wants to play with his son. And I believe these teams will fall over backwards to make that happen for him, or for themselves, I should say. But I just think whether they get Upper Deck entirely, or they just get those big name contracts, I think is a viable, big generational news type situation. And there's, I don't know where Michael sits with all of this, but can you imagine if Michael Jordan cards were to be produced again with team logos? Oh my goodness, it would just be phenomenal. And I know the PA ended up signing a long deal with Upper Deck, basically saying that we're going to stay committed to you. But I don't know, the politics of the hobby. Maybe one PA organization spoke to another PA organization, and maybe they all went out for lunch or something, and they're kind of schmoozing over the hockey PA and kind of giving them some options. And maybe the PA went to Upper Deck and said, hey, here's what we got on the table. Here's a sweet deal. And I think the contract for those big name players, I think it's an open check for Upper Deck. They named their cost, and I believe they're going to get it if they want to sell those contracts. Or if they want to get on board and just come on board with Upper Deck, which I would love, because they hired that one lady who created all these fancy insert sets from the 90s. I forget her name now. But she ended up getting hired by Upper Deck a year or 2 ago. And so she's back on the creative team. I would love to get her back into a bigger position with Topps and Fanatics. That would be just absolutely amazing. And let her creative juices flow full permission to do whatever her creative mind comes up with would be absolutely amazing. So we'll see what happens with that big news. The other thing that's been on my mind is PSA grading, right? With their $15 bulk submission order. And I know I've got a bunch of cards, stacks of cards that I'd like to get graded. And I've been talking about this with other collectors, and there's this sentiment where some collectors are waiting for that $9 or $10 bulk submission. And to be honest with you, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it should happen. I think when you look at the price of inflation, talking to my wife recently, the cost of eggs has nearly tripled. The cost of even a bag of potatoes has gone through the roof. Everything in the world has gone up in price, even minimum wage. I don't think a $9 bulk submission order. I think $15 a sub is going to be the floor. And I think it would be a good idea only because, they're going to get swarmed again with, 1 million base cards. People will start sending everything in. There has to be some type of load management. And I think that's what they are doing, because they have, only certain years from here to here gaming, or from here to here ultra modern. And they're kind of breaking it, segmenting different themes out. And I think that's a really good idea, because that allows them to manage the load. They can take a look at what's on their plate and, okay, we're a little low here. Let's have a special for this area where we're running low. I think that's really smart. I think that's a good move. But I think $15, in my opinion, is reasonable. If it gets to 12, I would be ecstatic. But $9 a sub, I don't think it's going to happen. So we'll see. The last topic I would like to talk with you guys about is a YouTube channel by the name of PSA Collector. Now, I'm not going to badmouth this content creator, because I'm a content creator myself, and I understand the challenges that content creators have. I know the what it takes. I know the hard work that you put in, and I would never, speak wrongly about another content creator. But he was gone for a while, and he decides to come back here recently, and he creates a few videos, and I'll give you an example of one title here. It says Top 30 Modern Day Baseball MLB Rookie Cards Selling for Big Money. Rookie cards to buy now. Very long, catchy, clickbaity type title. His production level is absolutely amazing. I believe he does that type of work for a living. So the video quality, the sound bites, everything about what his channel is top-notch quality. But he's taken this really long layoff, and he's back. And this is the type of content that he's created this past week. And it's really investor focus. It's really, top 50 highest priced cards. All of the videos that really, those are the types of videos, to be honest with you, that really irritate me, because they only speak to a very small portion of the hobby, right? And who can afford 6-digit sports cards? I mean, not many of us. And then it's the best ones. Well, they're the best because they're expensive. I don't know. To each his own, I guess. But the point that I wanted to make is using this video that I just shared with you, the title, uh, I typically will look at the comments. Now, for this video, he shut the comments off. And I understand why he shut the comments off, because he was getting a lot of backlash, especially when you look at the cards that he was um, listing off. Um, Top 30 modern day baseball MLB rookie cards selling for big money. And he does give you a list of that in the show notes. Let me see. 29 of the 30 cards are Bowman Chromes, Bowman Chrome autographs. And yeah, and it's all low serial numbered stuff, but Bowman Chrome, Clayton Kershaw, red refractor autograph. I mean, Carlos Correa, red refractor autograph. He really likes the reds, seems like. Jason Dominguez, red shimmer refractor auto. But here's the thing is none of these are really rookie cards. And you might say, oh, Victor, that's just you. You know, you just got to accept that first Bowman Chrome autos are the way to go. And but here's the thing, you know, a lot of people will question when I say that there's a lot of debate about rookie cards in the hobby. They'll say, "Oh, what? I don't see or hear no debate. What are you talking about?" Well, it's because you're not paying attention. I pay attention specifically to that topic, right? So I see that more often probably than the average Joe, because this is the lane that I stick to. But in the comment section, he had lots of backlash, especially about Bowman Chromes being the way to go, or the only way to go, that he's let off this vibe that these are the only ones worth investing in. And, you know, don't waste your money on other stuff. The Bowman Chrome autographs are the best. And so, you know, and you look at the list, none of them are rookie cards. And I've gotten into this topic in great detail in other videos, and I may leave a link to that video. But yeah, Bowman Chrome autos, first Bowman autos, those are not rookie cards, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. I don't say that, you know, to slap you in the face or anything like that, or belittle you. I am just saying, legally, technically, those are not rookie cards. So this gentleman who creates great content, PSA collector, gives us this entire list of Bowman Chrome, and he had a tremendous amount of backlash, and it seems like he shut the comments off for this video. Really interesting. It goes to show you that there is still debate, there's still confusion. And why is there? Well, because the waters are muddied. And this is case in point right here. The waters are definitely muddied. Clear lines need to be drawn. We need clarity of language, which is one of the things I'm always preaching about. We need structure, boundaries. We need the rookie card guidelines per se have always been updated. They've always evolved. But we've set out a set of standards in 2005, at least the PA has, and they have veered off. They have veered off course. And this is how come I say reform. Reform is definitely needed, because the PA guidelines have given too much room for gray area. too much room for shenanigans. I don't want a narrow definition. I don't want to go back to the 1980s and have it that way. No, we've evolved. We've grown past that. So a narrow definition is not the desire, my desire, but neither is a broad one. So there has to be a tightening of the belt per se. We need to come back and kind of come back to center with this thing. We need to reestablish a set of guidelines. And that's what I'm going to be working on. If the PA won't give it to us, if Beckett Publications will no longer give it to us, I don't know if you guys knew this, but pick up a modern day Beckett magazine or an ultra modern Beckett magazine. You won't find rookie card definition in there any longer. It used to be in the 80s and 90s, every month you can open it up and read rookie card definition along with a bunch of other definitions, but that information has been pulled. And so this is my life's work, gentlemen. It's something that I've devoted myself to. It's something that I really enjoy doing. It's something that I'm extremely passionate about doing. I love, questions that come in. I love doing the research on it, trying to figure out what happened, what should have happened. But more importantly, I'm excited about what's ahead. I believe that, I come off maybe a little harsh, especially with my earlier videos. I was camera shy, which is odd because I have a lot of experience with public speaking, decades of public speaking. But when I hit something about that camera, when I would get that camera on me, it would just, my point is, it took me a long time to get used to that camera being in my face. And so, keeping that in mind when you see my earlier videos, I have deleted a ton of them, but I still have some earlier videos up, and I might come off, very well polished. I might come off a little harsh, a little rough around the edges. And I'll give you that. And I apologize for that. If that offended anybody, I apologize for that. But here's the thing. Here's my proposal. If you would just put all of that aside and logically think about what I'm saying, you're going to find that what I'm saying makes sense. And I don't say that in a bragging way. I'm saying if you consume my content with an open mind, you're going to say, you know what? What he's saying makes sense. What he's saying is true. What he's saying has some validity to it. So that's what I'm asking. Because I believe I'm on a mission right now. I want to influence the influencers. This is how come I invite myself to other people's channels. This is how come I very rarely, if ever, say no to somebody inviting me to come on their channel. And I have open book if you want to challenge me in every aspect of the rookie card. I will accept that challenge. Not that I have every single answer, but I guarantee you that I will give you my all at answering your question. And I will do it whether you like to hear it or not. And I will do it. Hey, if I don't know, I'll tell you. Omar asked me about the NBA lockout, and I had to tell him, hey man, I don't know what happened that year. I'll have to look into it. And I did. And I got back to him. And so it's one of those things where if you just give me a chance and listen to the principles, the standards, don't go by, I don't like him, because you know, it doesn't really matter if you like me or not. It doesn't really matter if you like my style or not. It doesn't really matter if you like my personality or not. What does matter is it the truth? Is it a fact? Does it hold weight? That should be what we're observing. And if we were to get more people on board, we can change the hobby. But there's no unity, or I should say very little unity among hobby content creators or hobby in general, right? It's the wild, wild west out there. And I'm sure many of you have heard that statement a lot. But if we were to bring some type of organization, I believe our voices carry a lot of weight, but our voices are divided. But if our voices were to unite, look out. We can make this hobby look the way we want it to. With that said, folks, I really do appreciate all of you who tune in. I really appreciate your support. So many are so supportive about my, I guess you can call it a crusade. Oh boy, there's a lot bigger crusades that need to be fought. That's for sure. This is just something we do for fun. And so thank you for joining my crusade. I really do appreciate your time, and I will definitely talk to you soon. I'll catch you on the next one.